ado, I will introduce our first speaker, Red, of Support Hose. Woo! Can you hear me? We're out here for SlutWalk. Make some noise. All right. Thanks, Bobby. Thanks to all the organizers. It's incredible that SlutWalk is still keeping shit real in Chicago. It's incredible that people are still coming out and building community in this way. And at the same time, it's incredibly infuriating that we have to still do this shit every single year because we're still trying to win a world without rape culture. So like Bobby said, my name's Red. I'm a queer non-binary femme, a community organizer, and a sex worker. I primarily organize with Survived and Punished, Survivors Against SESTA, which has recently sunset, and a small collective called Support Hose that seeks to build radical community for sex workers and our accomplices here in Chicago and in New York City. Woo! Woo! We also actively organize for the decriminalization of our labor as sex workers. The Support Hose Collective also organizes to free our comrade Alicia Walker from prison, where she is being punished for defending herself against a violent client and surviving. Alicia is a fierce, beautiful person whose only crime against this racist, sexist society is being a black queer woman and a sex worker. Alicia was made an example of by the Cook County courts and the state of Illinois because she refused to be disposable. She fought for herself and she saved the life of her fellow escort. When Judge Obish, remember that name, Obish, sentenced her to 15 years for defending herself, he effectively said that she and her fellow worker, they should have just died. He effectively said that their lives did not matter as much as the well-connected white man who attacked them. Alicia's incarceration is another manifestation of rape culture, racism, and whorephobia. And there's yet another manifestation of the racist, transphobic, and anti-sex worker policies that exist in our city. A new anti-loitering ordinance passed at the end of June, creating prostitution-free zones. That's right, boo that shit, because it is terrible. Now these prostitution-free zones, as they're calling them, are where police are given even more free rein to heavily fine, arrest, and ban people they suspect to be selling or trading sex from these zones. Keep it up, yeah. These bans can range from 8 hours to 30 days, regardless of whether or not people live, work, or obtain vital services in these areas. Now, police base their suspicion on what? What? Racism. Yeah, well, skin color. Police base their suspicion on skin color. They base it on gender presentation. They base their suspicion on clothing like leggings, tank tops, skirts, you know, summer shit. That is what is being used to arrest people, to fine people, to ban people from these prostitution-free zones. It's already happening in New York. It's been happening. It was been happening in DC, right? So look at what we're all wearing now. Imagine that being cited in your arrest report. This overtly racist anti-ho ordinance has got to go. I urge people to check out the hashtag #NotLoiteringJustLiving to follow the campaign against anti-loitering ordinances that harm communities that are already dealing with rampant police terror. Rape culture, misogyny, and whorephobia, coupled with the criminalization of sex work, create a toxic, stigma-fueled society that breeds violence and aggression toward women, femmes, queers, non-binary, and GNC folks. This directly contributes to slut-shaming and victim-blaming, and that's why it's so essential to lift up and center sex-working people's voices in anti-gender-based violence movements like SlutWalk. Y'all won't get free until sex workers are free from targeted police attacks, criminalization, and client violence. Woo! This toxic society must be shut down. That's right. Resistance means putting drivers and sex workers, and demanding the end to incarceration.
Come on.
Yeah.
I want you to say after me, free Lee Lee.
Free Lee Lee.
Free Lee Lee.
Free Lee Lee.
Free Gigi.
Free Gigi.
Free Gigi.
Free Gigi.
We want work. We want support. We want bodily autonomy, love, and justice for all sex workers now.
Okay, you slide in. You slide in. Do you want the same thing?
All right, and our next speaker is Stephanie Scora.
Hey, y'all. Hey. Oh, look at all of us. We're all so beautiful. All right. Well, before I get started, I want to have some audience participation here. I want to get us a little bit riled up, because I always love that when I'm listening to speakers, you know? All right, so I want y'all to repeat after me. Just some really short stuff. Power to black people.
Power to black people.
Power to brown people.
Power to brown people.
Power to trans people.
Power to trans people.
Power to non-binary people.
Power to non-binary people.
Power to lesbians.
Power to lesbians.
Power to queers.
Power to queers.
Power to Palestinians.
Power to Palestinians.
Power to Muslims.
Power to Muslims.
Power to the people.
Power to the people.
Thank you. Y'all are great. So I'm here to talk about this thing called pinkwashing. I don't know how many of y'all know what pinkwashing is. Pinkwashing generally understood is the erasure of violence against Palestinians by the Israeli state by using this supposed LGBTQ human rights record, which is not actually that great, to cover and paper over that violence. But I'm also here to talk about pinkwashing more broadly, because pinkwashing can be broadly conceived as the covering up of violence by pointing to progressivism, or usually just liberalism, to excuse that violence. How many times have we seen a women's liaison or an LGBT liaison from the police department participate in brutalizing marginalized communities?
That's right.
How many times have we seen brutal corporations who mistreat their workers, refuse to provide health care, and make their employees suffer unlivable and unworkable conditions, hold support groups and make diversity statements so that they can paper over their capitalistic bullshit and continue oppressing people free from scrutiny?
Come on.
This is all pinkwashing. The police pinkwash, the corporations pinkwash, the government of Chicago, the city government, the state government, the United States government pinkwash on a daily basis. All forms of neoliberalism, of fascism, of capitalism, of statism seek to paper over their violence by pointing to infinitesimal, incremental reforms that they make to allow marginalized people to be oppressed just a little bit longer, but never allow us to inch closer to liberation.
Woo! Say that shit.
That shit ain't right. That shit ain't right. And we are here today to demand an end to all pinkwashing. We are here today to demand liberation for Palestinians, for queer people, for trans people, for all marginalized people, for black people, for brown people. Freedom from the police. Fuck the police. Freedom from the state. Fuck this state. Fuck this colonial ass state and its bullshit government. We are sitting on stolen indigenous land. Fuck the capitalists and their wealth hoarding bullshit. Fuck Betsy DeVos and her 10 super yachts. Who needs 10 boats? I don't need one boat. Do any of you need 10 boats? What do you do with 10 boats? Like, I don't know. I don't understand it. Fuck the capitalists. Fuck the privatizers. The people who take the very essence of culture, of peoplehood, of our lives and profit from it, corporatize it, package it up into bite-sized pieces like a rainbow shirt from Target or like a dashiki from Walmart. This shit exists and it is wrong. Capitalism is wrong, corporatism is wrong, colonialism is wrong, white supremacy, transphobia, queerphobia are wrong, colonialism is wrong. And we are here today to stand against all of these things. I stand before you as a proudly Jewish, anti-Zionist, lesbian, trans woman. There are not that many of us. I recently went looking for my whole community. I put out a call to be connected to everybody who identifies like me worldwide. I got put in touch with about 25 people worldwide who have the ability to exist at the intersection of invisibility and marginalization. It is difficult to be multiply marginalized. It is difficult to survive while trans. It is difficult to survive while queer. It is almost impossible to survive while trans, queer, and other things that the state seeks to find and destroy. But here we are resisting. Here we are fighting back every single fucking day against bullshit like the police, like the city of Chicago, like random preachers who don't read the Bible verses that they print on their shirts. We are here for liberation. We are here for justice. We are here for the freedom from bullshit. Freedom from rape culture. Freedom from whorephobia. Freedom from transphobia. Freedom from all forms of oppression, because they are all interconnected. You cannot free one person without freeing everybody else. None of us will ever be free until all the rest of us are free right alongside them. I work every single day to end transphobia, to end Zionism, to end anti-Semitism, to end racism, to end capitalism, to end all forms of intersecting oppression, systems of power and control, which exist only to keep people down, to brutalize them, and then to profit off of their bones. We're all here together for that same goal. And so one last time before I get off this stage and hand off the megaphone, I want to remind us all, and I want to invite us all to join in one more thing. Power to the people.
Power to the people.
Power to us.
Power to us.
Thank you. Who's up next? Who's up next? Someone come and take this from me.
No.
Bobby's next?
Bobby's good.
All right.
Yeah, we can.
Still want this one, Bobby? This one?
Yeah.
We're gonna do the lead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Joey Mogul. Joey Mogul is Lee's defense attorney, and I will let them take the mic.
Hello, everybody. It's so beautiful to see you all today. My name's Joey Mogul. I'm an attorney at the People's Law Office, and I'm a proud member of the National Lawyers Guild.
We love green hats.
Brad Thompson and I are very proud to be representing Lee Dewey, and that's why I'm here today. Unfortunately, Lee was one of 5 people arrested last year at the SlutWalk demonstration. And Lee is currently facing false felony charges that, if Lee was found guilty, could put them in prison. Shame! Shame is right. Lee was roughly arrested, and in the course of Lee's arrest, a police officer came and stepped on Lee's head and ground it into the pavement.
Shame!
To add insult to injury, Lee was then criminally arrested and charged. And during Lee's rough arrest, they were injured. They in fact had a cut and they were bleeding. And while they were back at the police station, they, out of an abundance of caution, HIV positive and they asked for treatment. And as a result of sharing their status, they were then dragged to a hospital, forced to give their blood, and now facing aggravated battery charges. Aggravated battery on a police officer, where the police officer is falsely alleging.
Shame!
Where the police officer is falsely alleging that Lee bit them. Now, aggravated battery on a police officer is a very serious charge. If Lee is found guilty, they could be imprisoned from 3 to 7 years. Now, prison is an ugly place for anyone. There should be cages for no one. That's right. But for Lee, as a gender non-conforming person, to be put in a prison is hell. It's based on a binary that does not recognize all human beings and all human beings' humanity.
That's right.
So we are here today to ask you to support Lee. As many of you know, Lee is an amazing human being who does so much good in the communities and in the world.
Yes, they do.
They run Community Cave out of the center on Halstead. They're an advisory board member to the AIDS Foundation of Chicago. They work with Upswing Advocates, and they are a tireless advocate trying to raise awareness around HIV and AIDS and prevent others from getting these diseases. These charges are ludicrous in light of the amazing good work that Lee does in this world. Lee, like so many of you, was just out protesting, exercising their First Amendment rights to freedom of speech and freedom of assembly. Every right that you are practicing here today. Come on! So we are asking you to come and support Lee. There's a defense committee for Lee Dewey, okay? And the hashtag is Free Lee from CPD, okay? And let's just, when I say Free Lee, you say from CPD. Free Lee!
From CPD!
Free Lee!
From CPD!
Free Lee!
From CPD!
We're asking you. These charges are false and they're baseless, and we want you to call on the Cook County State's Attorney's Office and demand that they drop these charges. Come on! We don't want to see another one of our loved ones in prison, and that's why we're here today. Free Lee!
From CPD!
Free Lee!
From CPD!
Free Lee!
From CPD!
Please check out the hashtag, check out the fundraiser, call the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. We will win.
Thank you, everyone.
We love you, Lee. We love you, Lee. We love you, too.
Hi, y'all. Let's make some noise for those speakers. My name is Donna, and I'm one of the organizers of SlutWalk Chicago. Hey! Thank y'all for coming out today. This really means a lot to not only everybody sitting here and standing here, but to the people in these buildings who need to see us and recognize us and hear us, because the tourists don't know that we are Chicago, so we have to tell them, okay? So I'm going to go over some of the main points and the importance of this walk. I'm going to go over the logistics of how we're going to get from here to point B, and then I'm going to go over some chants. Does that sound good? So I started helping out with SlutWalk Chicago about a year and a half ago. One of the former organizers kept seeing me show up to SlutWalk Chicago, to other protests, had heard my poetry, and they were like, I fuck with you, you should help organize. And I was like, I fuck with you too, let's fucking do this, okay? So SlutWalk Chicago started in 2011, and we are the longest running slut walk in the US. So let's make some fucking noise for that. It's absolutely amazing what we've been doing in the face of police brutality, in the face of the rape culture that exists in this city and in the US and abroad. It's absolutely amazing.
read press clips every single day. Say their names, call them out. You matter, right? And they're supposed to represent you. Call them out. Let them know you are here and you want to be heard. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I have to take off these sunglasses, like I can't see for shit. Okay? Like wearing contacts. Okay, so I'm gonna go over this year's intentions one more time. We are here to bring support to the human that was arrested at last year's SlutWalk, which could have been any one of us. And that means supporting Lee the way that you would want somebody to show up for you.
That's right.
Okay? That means addressing transphobia and HIV stigma
That's right.
head on. That means that any way that you can, in a way that is safe and comfortable for you, calling the people out in your lives who perpetuate that shit. That means going home, whether it's to your school or your family, to people you feel comfortable talking to and calling out about racism. That means calling them out about slut-shaming. Okay? We are here to center the most vulnerable and marginalized survivors, which includes sex workers, trans folks, non-binary folks, and people of color. That means that when you show up to other marches, like the Women's March, that means saying, hey, having a pussy doesn't necessarily mean you have everything you need to be a woman. That means calling out all the people that show up and saying, why aren't you joining my chant, Trans Lives Matter? Right? That means calling it out. Calling out all of the organizations that we were talking about. Pinkwashing. That means calling it out on the spot and using the power that you have. There is no such thing as being powerless. The people who run this world want you to think that you have no power, and that is false. Right? You are powerful. Every single moment that you exist, you are defying everything that they want to exist. And all you have to do is survive. When you speak, people should listen because you matter. Okay? My last point is that we're also here to bring media attention to addressing rape culture. Too often, the shit we see in the headlines has nothing to do with people like us. And they tell us that these celebrities matter more than us. They tell us that famous people matter when they die. They tell us that you only matter when you die. And that shit ain't true. You matter while you're here. You matter while you're fucking sleeping. You matter while you're talking. And when shit goes down in our communities, that shit needs to be amplified. Okay? And for too long, we have people saying that being raped, being assaulted, that's not a crime because it's sexual. When you are violated and someone interferes in your bodily autonomy, that shit is a crime.
That's right.
I want to thank all the speakers that came out today and stood in this hot-ass sun and shared their story with you. I want to thank the endorsing groups, Community Cave, Gay Liberation Network, SWAP, Sex Workers Outreach Project Chicago, and Justice for Alicia Walker Defense Campaign. I encourage you to use some of these amazing hashtags to amplify what the hell is going on today. Hashtag SlutWalk Chi 2018. Hashtag Free Lee from CPD. Hashtag Call Kim Fox. Right? That's Cook County right there, baby. We're freeing Lee and we're calling Kim Fox. We're blowing up their email. We're telling all the interns over there, we matter. Write this shit down. This is my zip code. All right? We're saying hashtag stand with Alicia. Hashtag survives and punished. And hashtag end stigma.
Yes.
Now, I'm so excited to chant with y'all today and just move through this city and remind all the tourists that are getting their shopping on and their Brooks Brothers shit on that we are here and that we exist. So if y'all want to practice some of these chants, right, we're going to start with a simple mic check, okay? So everybody knows what that is, so that when you need something, whether love this building because, you know, this is some survivor shit, all right? We're at the old water tower, and we're gonna congregate after you give you like 5 minutes to grab more merch and get your lives together and put on some sunscreen and hydrate and shit like that. And then we're gonna go to that corner, right? We're gonna act like we're gonna get on the bus and shit, but we're actually gonna walk. We're gonna walk down Michigan until we get to Daily Plaza. And what we're gonna do, right? Because there's no real way to avoid arrest when the police want to arrest people because they're fuckers. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna stay together, right? You're gonna find your ass a buddy right now. If you don't got a buddy, I'm your buddy. You're gonna find me, right? And you're gonna stay close together. And when you need something, you're gonna go, mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
If you want to start a chant, let me know so I can give you the bullhorn. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
All right. So we're gonna gather on that corner in about 5 to 10 minutes. You know who I am. My name is Donna. Press can find me. Folks can find me. Add me on Instagram. All that bullshit, right? We're gonna gather over there.